Hello, welcome to Jay and Nicole's Learning Lab. Today we have the CEO and one of the co-founders of Koala Go. And today we're going to be looking at the challenges of managing virtual classrooms. Our guest, Xavier Moretti, is an expert in virtual environments. Welcome, Xavier.
Thank you so much for having me.
Oh, we're so excited to have you here today. We have really hit the jackpot by being able to have you on because we're excited to dive right into this and compare the usability of your platform for our teachers, while also talking about our myth for today. You can't effectively manage student behavior in a virtual classroom. Now, hopefully, we'll be able to debunk that as we talk. But what is your initial thoughts on that? Do you think you can effectively manage student behavior in a classroom virtually?
Uh, yeah, absolutely, absolutely. I think every kid is different, and actually, thanks to COVID, quote unquote, we've actually come to realize that many kids, because of their learning style, their learning profile, their where they are on the neurodiversity spectrum, many kids actually perform better online, behave better online, and learn faster online.
A lot of those outside distractors. I know when I started my teaching journey with my own children as a homeschool parent, one of those defining moments for me was one of my children um, had quite a few bullies, and by removing those factors from his life, actually took a child that people thought had learning problems, turned out to be no, he just needed the environment to excel in. So
Yeah.
I kind of agree with that. But what I'm really interested in is a bit about your background and what inspired you to go in this direction.
Yeah. So we actually, was working in tech, and so was my current co-founder Ben, and we met at Apple in 2012, 2011, and we, spent a few years in technology, but then we were talking about starting a company together, and both of Ben's parents are educators, and I was raised by my grandmother, who's also a teacher.
Okay.
She's still alive today. She's 96 years old. She was a philosophy teacher. So, this was a topic that also was important to me because I think it's the best way to level the playing field is to provide an education to everyone. And so, wanted to do something valuable with my life, I guess. So that's why we went towards education. And then we were in San Francisco back then, and we started chatting with a lot of families to hear about their pain points. Because a good startup should be built on a good, important hair on fire problem, as we say in the startup world. And by talking with so many families, we started seeing a pattern of many families telling us that their child was really smart, but they was learning differently.
Mhm.
And they were not, they had dyslexia, and we didn't know what dyslexia was, to be honest.
Right.
So we did some research. We surrounded ourselves with people smarter than us, such as Dr. Brock Eide, sorry, who wrote the Dyslexic Advantage. And we asked, we read his book, and we try to understand, why do kids with dyslexia learn differently? And we actually tried to build a tool initially that was tailored for the learning styles of kids with dyslexia. And that's how
Mhm.
Koala started.
Okay.
Wow. That's impressive. I don't think I've ever heard that type of founding story. It's a very unique learning challenge that some children have, even adults, right? And
That's right.
I don't think I've ever heard anybody actually focus on that one before, other than parents having to help their children at home.
That's right. Yeah. Yeah. And if you're interested, I think the a great starting point is indeed to read this book called The Dyslexic Advantage. It's a fantastic book, and it explains that. So it's written by two neurologists who spent 40 years with kids and adults who have dyslexia, and he shows that we tend to think of dyslexia when you hear dyslexia, you think weakness, you think slow reader, slow writer.
Right.
But you actually, if you dig deeper, you actually see a lot of the strength as well. It's often very successful architects and artists and entrepreneurs, because they have fantastic a set. I'm not going to get into the details, but they have a set of neurological strength that make them really good at those types of professions.
They're
Yeah, I've heard
probably
it's
also
like
very good at,
spatial 3D.
Yep.
yeah, they're
Spatial
probably
is one of
very
them.
good at overcoming their disadvantages. Their,
Yeah,
they're probably
exactly. And then
very
the
good.
brain, the brain is this amazing thing that compensates,
Mhm.
right? That
Right.
compensates. And but unfortunately, today the school system is still tailored for the, if you look at the distribution of neurological profiles, like a bell curve,
Mhm.
the school system is going to focus on the center. And
Right.
if you're on the edge and if you're different in many ways, it's really tough for you to succeed in the school system. And it's a hard problem to solve. We can't really blame schools because they have limited resources and they have to be as effective as
And
possible.
there's
But unfortunately, there's a lot of data that shows that kids with dyslexia will often be depressed. They will have suicidal thoughts. They are more likely to fall in drugs, and the proportion of individual with dyslexia in prison is significantly higher than other learning profiles.
really,
I did not
Yeah.
know that.
really.
Yeah.
That's
Why is that?
interesting.
Do you know why?
I mean, the depression and falling into drugs and just feeling like an
The drugs.
outcast and not successful in the school system makes you want to, rebel.
Be successful at something. At
Exactly.
something.
Well, I mean,
Exactly.
think about that though. I mean, that just doesn't affect, your schooling and also your mental health. But think about what dyslexia, the challenge that you have if you don't know how to overcome or compensate for it in the everyday world. That prevents you from filling out applications, creating resumes, being successful in school to get your certification, even if it's, becoming something like an electrician or a plumber where you don't have to go to school, but you go to a trade school for, which is still a very good job.
Yeah.
Those things would be almost prohibitive for you.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly.
I think this is really cool because I feel like you're talking about creating a space where everybody has an opportunity to succeed by offering the options outside of traditional public school that just doesn't really
Sure.
serve everybody.
That's right.
That's why homeschooling exists. For example, it's an avenue for people where public school doesn't serve that family's needs. So that's an interesting story. Thank you for sharing that. Man, you kind of threw me off.
Now, what are some ways that parents and teachers can keep the students engaged and attentive during online lessons? What can we do? What do you recommend?
I mean, honestly, I think you're asking the wrong person. I'm not. You should ask actual teachers. What we've done, and so Ben
Yeah,
and
how
I
can
have
we do it in
with
Koala Go? How can we do
yeah.
it in
So
Koala Go?
so Ben and I have talked with hundreds of teachers, and we've asked them what they need, and we've tried to build those tools in Koala. But I think
Mhm.
every teacher will learn differently, and
Right.
every teacher will teach differently, and every student will learn differently. So our vision is to give the right tools in Koala, and then teachers can do what they want. I know that the common answer to this question is incentives. You can. So that's why we build this gem
Yes, the gems. I pulled one
virtual
of too many of
coin.
those.
Right. So you can, it gives power to teachers, especially when you're online and you have a kid who can't stay in place and who's running around, etc. You want to have a little bit of control and say, hey, no, please stay seated, and if you behave well and if you're successful at this exercise, I will reward you a few gems. So that's why we've developed gems. We We've also tried, I mean, going back to kids with dyslexia, there's something called a comorbidity between dyslexia and ADHD, which means that there's a lot of there's a
Overlap.
lot
They
of
intersect, right? They
exactly
intersect.
overlap.
Yeah.
Exactly. So if you have a kid who has hyperactivity, it's even harder to teach them.
Oh
So
my gosh,
we've
yes.
built some tools to really engage those children, and I think that's one of the reasons why we built Playground,
Mm-hmm.
which is a world in Koala that looks a lot
I
like
got
Minecraft.
questions on your playground.
Yeah, go ahead.
Teachers can actually create their own playground, right?
That's right. Yeah, yeah.
That's so cool. How hard is that to do? How complicated is that?
Yeah, that's an excellent question. So Ben and I are both gamers. We still play video game on a regular basis.
What do
Don't
you
tell
play?
anyone. What do we play?
Yeah.
My favorite games are like real-time strategy games, like Age of Empires.
Oh, I love that. I love
I
that
love
game.
those games. Can
I
get
like
enough of it.
Civilization also.
Right, exactly.
It's
Yeah,
a
yeah,
little slow, but I
right.
still like it.
Turn by turn.
Yeah.
So Playground. So Ben and I are gamers, and therefore it's very easy for us to create playgrounds. But
Mhm.
the community of teachers is, you know, usually slightly older. Sometimes, especially in the dyslexia space, dyslexia interventionists, reading interventionists are often retired teachers. And unfortunately, what we've seen is that in this generation, men are more comfortable with technology than women
Right.
because they had less access. They were less, women were less part of the workforce. So there's still a little bit of
Gap.
an imbalance, a gap between men and women in terms of level of comfort with technology. So we thought Playground was very easy, but it's not easy. And we have only 5% of the teachers who use Koala today who create content in Playground, and 95% go to our marketplace and purchase Playground
I
activity.
saw them. I thought the marketplace was a really nice touch.
Yeah.
Actually, I found somebody on there I think I want to bring on the podcast at some point. Emily Radecki.
Oh, you should. She's fantastic.
I particularly liked the Pac-Man. I'm just saying.
Oh, yeah.
Pac-Man.
She had some of the old school games, and she had like the Pac-Man version for, I think it was adjectives or something. And
Yeah.
I was like, Pac-Man.
I know. Yeah, it's really like the creativity. What's really exciting about Playground is that it's a
Some of
3D world,
it's
and maybe we'll throw some images here for people who are watching this to show you what Playground looks like.
Mhm.
But it's a 3D world where you can build blocks similar to Minecraft and Roblox.
Right.
You can build blocks, and you can use your gems to get some eggs, and a pet will come out of the egg, and you can build houses and spaceships, etc. And what's very excited for Ben and me is that we create those building blocks. We create this sandbox, and then we give it away to the community, and within a few weeks we see things that we've never even thought about. It goes
Right.
beyond what we were imagining. So that's really, really exciting as a builder. When you build those digital pickaxes and shovels, give it to the community, and the community comes up with amazing
a
stuff.
couple of those pre-done worlds. Some of them were pretty detailed. Like one had an entire sanctuary. It almost looked like a zoo where you went to different areas. I mean,
Yeah.
You look at that and you think, and then you look at it again and you say, oh wow, that's like a 2 months worth of material just because you have to go to so many different areas, and they were quite detailed. I was actually kind of surprised that you could create that detail from it. It was very interesting. I thought it was quite cool. I like to play.
So now Koala Go, it is obviously it's not intended to bring us a one size fit all experience, right? It has to be tailored. And how can the teachers work that to their benefit without occupying 30 hours a week creating stuff? How can they
Yeah.
do that?
Yeah, so that's an excellent question. So I'll take a step back. Koala has three main building blocks. The first one is Playground. We talked about it. we have a whiteboard. That's a very
Right.
standard interactive whiteboard where you and your students can draw on. And we have the co-browser, which is quite popular especially for the ESL community, and that allows you to open any website and to make it truly interactive. You and your students can interact with it. So if you don't want to spend too much time preparing your class, or you don't want to spend any time preparing your class, you can use the co-browser, open any website in the world, or a game or a genially set of
Yeah.
ESL slides in it, and then that's it.
I use some of those.
Like the eBridge Academy genially content,
Uh-huh.
for instance, is amazing. And Katie spent not 30 hours a week, but maybe
She spent a
60
lot of
hours a
time.
week for
Right.
3 years building
Right.
amazing ESL content for
Mhm.
ESL teachers.
Right.
So that's a no prep way. And if you want to still use Playground and you don't want to spend any time preparing, that's why we have the marketplace where you can purchase these activities from those amazing creators.
And when somebody purchases from the marketplace, is that a one-time use or they have it forever?
They have it forever.
Okay, that's reasonable then. That's reasonable.
Okay, that's
Now
reasonable.
the co-browser,
Yep.
that's a hot topic right now.
Yep.
How does so me personally, I have a lot of students in China.
Yeah.
How does it function? Like, is it rock solid in China or is it hit and miss?
Yeah. No, it's I mean, it's not
You know,
easy.
the firewall's a
Right.
monster.
We've had our history. We've put a lot of blood, sweat, and tears into making it work with China. And last year we had an issue around the Golden Week in China, where the firewalls restriction go up and they block some websites that they don't block the rest of the time. And after the end of Golden Week, our website was still not working. So that was really stressful for me personally. Little stories that actually ended up at the ER for a panic attack. I haven't met many
Really?
people, but I actually ended up. I was in Paris. I ended up in the ER for a panic attack around that time. So I remember it quite vividly. But we fixed this. Actually, after Golden Week, it didn't go back to normal after. So we had to find a way. So yeah, now it's rock solid, and your connectivity with China will be impeccable.
That's good.
Really?
That's really good.
Okay. That's a point of contention right now.
Yeah, definitely. Sorry, there's a little bit of a background noise. I'm going to move to.
No worries.
No problem. Take your time.
It happens.
Yes.
Right.
I'm waiting for my dog to growl at me because somehow he made it into my room and he's here hiding somewhere. There he is. Oh, I like the Christmas tree.
Beautiful, huh?
I
Any
missed the
kids
many
running around
Christmas
there?
trees.
No, they in school.
All set. Sorry about that.
No
Oh,
worries.
that's okay. So speaking of, so we kind of just touched on quality control. How do you ensure quality control when teachers maybe bring their own materials? Or what
Yeah.
about, do you have any standards or screening processes?
Yeah, absolutely. So it's called QA, quality assurance, in the software world. It's tough. It's tough, especially when our team is 10 people, so it's relatively small, and we just crossed. Like, our teachers use Koala 1 million minutes per month.
Oh,
We just
wow. How
crossed
many teachers
1
is that are using it?
I need to check, but tens of
It's a
thousands.
lot. It's a lot.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. And so even if you test 24/7 with your team of 10 using different devices, using the Huawei tablet with the new operating system for the teacher, and the student will be using an iPad with the old iOS version 17 and using Safari or using Chrome, or
Safari is
like,
still
there's so
available?
many.
It's on
Yeah,
Apple.
it is.
It's Apple.
It is. Yeah. So it's a lot of work. So we have a whole test plan QA test plan, quality assurance test plan, that we go through every single test one by one at every update. But it's funny you asked that, because actually today we'll be releasing a new update of Koala that was a significant improvement in the backend for peer-to-peer video, peer-to-peer
Okay.
audio, and it was 2 months of testing.
Wow. Okay. All right.
Now,
So
do
yeah,
you
a lot
have
of work.
is there like one like
Sorry, my
golden
dog needs to
device?
come in. Sorry
What's
about
that?
that.
Okay.
It's all right. I am totally letting you take the lead on this, by the way, because you have like some serious questions going on. I feel like the person just sitting here going, like the fawns. Hey.
Sorry about the back
So
and forth. I know it's going to be more work on the editing.
it's no problem. It's no problem. So do you have like a golden device you recommend that a teacher or
Mm.
student uses? Is there like one that's just like that's the one to use? Do you have one?
That's a good question. Not necessarily a golden device, but a set of golden devices. Yes, a Mac with an updated Mac,
Like
MacBook Pro,
like
ideally.
Apple Silicon? Apple Silicon.
Yeah, it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter.
Yeah.
But an updated Mac, less than 5 years old, with Google Chrome. That's one of
Okay.
our golden device. Or a PC with Google Chrome, or an iPad, and you use Safari, not Google Chrome. You actually need to use
Safari
Safari.
does work. Okay.
Yeah.
Safari does work.
Yeah, we've added support for recent Huawei tablets. Huawei tablets are sometimes
Yeah,
weaker
they're
in terms
weird.
of performance.
Yeah, they're weird.
But a recent model
I
should
I
do
have a
good, and
brand
an
new
Android.
one that I absolutely detest. What
Yeah.
about the Samsung? So I tend to use my FE a lot. This one's only
Okay.
about a year old. What about these
Yeah.
ones?
Yeah, Samsung tablet. We also support Samsung tablets. Yep.
Does it work better on the tablet functionality or the DeX?
The DeX means that you connect to a keyboard. Sorry, I don't know
Yeah.
what DeX.
Well,
You
no,
connect your
DeX.
tablet to a
No.
monitor, right?
No, DeX is where it's a really cool functionality of Samsung. DeX is where you can make your tablet function like a laptop. So it takes out that cell phone app look, and it actually functions like a laptop.
Oh, okay, cool. On the Windows operating system.
Basically, yeah, but it's Apple
Okay.
based. I mean, not Apple based. I'm sorry. It's Android based, but it runs like the Windows operating system. So it looks just like my Windows laptop.
Okay.
That's
Yeah,
why I bought
both options should work.
it.
Yeah.
Because I know that there's some things that I use that's frustrating for me, because that's why I bought it, because of the DeX feature, because it's a little more portable for me than my PC. My
Yeah.
laptop is. I love that feature because almost everything I can use with very limited exceptions. I can use
Yeah.
just like on my laptop. The only limited one that really annoys me actually is my Wix interface for updating my website.
Okay.
So okay, good to know. Good to know. I have a question though, because now somebody like me, I pay for my Zoom. Okay, so I really like my Zoom. Don't get me wrong.
Yeah.
And I'm very good at integrating a lot of other features into that to make it a very interactive experience for myself and my students.
Yeah.
What do you have that
Mhm.
would make me justify jumping ship? So I don't just do kids. I do a big bulk of kids, but I do have teens and I do some adults. And
Yeah.
your service is more expensive. I mean, it's very easy to see that, right? What would make your product better for me as the teacher who teaches multiple age groups? Why would I jump ship to yours? Because a lot of people are not going to pay for both.
Yeah, that's fair. That's fair. And to be fair, I actually also have a Zoom subscription, because I think it's a fantastic tool to
I do
communicate
too.
with
I mean,
with
it is.
adults.
Mhm.
Like we do all our webinars on Zoom. We think it's a really great tool for that. So I mean, why are we more expensive than Zoom? So everything that Zoom can do, we can do. Like you have audio, video, screen sharing, etc. in Koala. But on top of that, in Koala, you'll get 24/7 live support by a real team across the world that
Okay.
will jump in your classroom if you have any question. Zoom.
Really?
I don't know the last time you heard from Zoom customer
Oh,
support.
never. Then they brush you off.
Right.
So like, yeah.
Right. So that's one. And then the second one is the co-browser. And I know that you had the CEO of Fun Class here, and we actually use the same co-browser provider. It's a Hyperbeam. So the co-browser is a fantastic tool if you want to keep your kids engaged, and dragging and dropping on iPad and things that I don't think you can do on Zoom today.
No,
Right.
because I don't have that.
Okay.
It's one of the huge drawbacks. And one of the
Yeah.
big drawbacks I find with Zoom is not that I don't have a lot of tools available. It's
Yeah.
a lot of the tools are not intuitive to use from the non-host
younger-
side. So as the
Right.
host, it's much easier for me to use my toolbar, but it drives me absolutely bonkers when I'm not the host, because I'm like, where's everything? Why can't I find it? Where is it?
Right. That's right. Yeah. And thank you for bringing it up. We try to simplify the student experience, considering that we know that some of our students are 4 years old. So we really
Right.
try to. It's not an enterprise software repurposed for education. It's built from the ground up with these types of users in mind. So I think the user experience is easier for young children, and then you have, of course, the interactive whiteboard. But I think the interactive whiteboard of Zoom is getting pretty good. And you have Playground. It's an embedded Minecraft
Mhm.
world where you have your avatar. It's like a multiplayer video game in the teaching platform. So this is so when you're comparing our pricing to Zoom's pricing, it's not really apples to apples comparison, in my opinion.
So
I agree
in the
with you, to be honest.
playground, you can do things like place objects in the playground and tell the student to go walk their little cartoon, their
Yep.
avatar over to find
Yep.
it and things like that. Is there any initiative to progress that to where maybe it's appealing to like a 16-year-old or a 17-year-old? And I know there's a lot of adults that play Minecraft
Yeah.
still. So, but is there any initiative on that?
Case in point that I got mad when he ended the game when I decided to play the student side.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. It's to be perfectly honest, it's not a priority for us.
Okay.
Because we think
fair.
there are lots of great tools for 15 and 16 years old, and they don't need those engagement tools because they're at a point where they're relatively self-driven and mature, and they want to move forward. So like when we did our market study, we realized that it was a largely like teaching young kids was a largely unsolved problem, while
Mhm.
teaching older students, teenagers who actually are almost adults, has tons of solutions out there. So
You
yeah, that's
you
a long
shouldn't
way to
have
answer your
to,
question, but that's not a priority for us to
right. You shouldn't
tailor.
have to trick them. You shouldn't have to
Yeah,
trick them.
that's
Right.
right. That's yeah.
Honestly, I like your fresh approach of admitting the fact that that is where your focus is, and you don't need to service every market to make your product valuable. I think it makes it more valuable because you are focused on servicing that demographic very specifically. Not that it can't work for the olders at the same time.
Right.
Now, I want to move to the marketplace,
Mm.
Yep.
maybe the ethics piece. How do you handle potential, I don't know, there's probably, copyright issues.
Ah,
Yeah.
How do you handle that? Or do you not police that? It's completely reasonable to say you don't police that to me.
it
No,
really is. I
we.
mean, Zoom doesn't police it, and we all know.
Mhm. No, yeah. But that's a good question. We do police it. We communicate to our community, say, hey, you cannot publish anything that has copyright that you don't have a commercial license for, right? The
Mhm.
commercial license means that you're allowed to make money selling
Right.
some
Reselling. Yeah.
content. Reselling, thank you. Yeah. So um so so we communicate this is the first step. We communicate this to our community, especially to the creators community. Number two is when you actually publish something, there is at the bottom, in big it says, I certify that I have commercial rights for this image and
Okay.
this image and this image and this image. And we actually ask you, we're a little bit of a pain in the butt, because we actually ask you to point us to the link, give us the link of the license terms for each image.
Right, right, right.
So we do that, and then finally, step 3 is there's a screening, and every single piece of content that you publish to the marketplace, we review it. Now, I have to be honest, there may be things falling through the cracks.
Oh, of course, of course.
What would
Yeah,
Um,
you
yeah. So it's an imperfect experience, but we try to do our best to really prevent that, because I mean we think that the initial creator of that content deserves to be rewarded for their work and for the
sure.
crew.
I have a question. What do you I've had this happen personally to me actually on Facebook and YouTube, where it was
Yeah.
my creation from scratch, completely 100% mine. It was actually my full-on videos and stuff of me in it, actually. And I had commercial licenses for some of the art that I was using. And
Okay.
I had somebody steal my content and then complain to Facebook and YouTube that I stole,
Yeah.
that it was their content and I stole it from them. And I'm like, that's literally me. You know, like,
Right.
so it took me, I mean, the absurdity of the stuff I had to do to prove that it was mine when my face was on it was ridiculous, but we won't go there.
Yeah.
The content, if another creator claims that another piece of content was stolen from them,
Yeah.
do you have a process to handle that?
We have not run into this scenario
Okay,
yet.
good.
I think our community is relatively
Good.
small enough compared to YouTube's size, right? So
Oh,
we
it's
don't
ridiculous.
we actually know more or less everyone. Um,
Mhm.
and once again, the creator community is 5% of our community, so it's actually
It's quite small at the moment. I mean, it's
it's
large, but
relatively
small.
small. We know each other. We have webinars with all the creators, so we have
Okay.
not run into that problem yet. But if it does happen, I think we'll do our investigation, and we'll do best judgment and try to figure out a solution.
No, that's perfectly acceptable. I mean, if it hasn't happened, then you wouldn't have a complete process in place for it yet.
Right.
Like I said, it did happen to me, and I have had that experience, and it was definitely interesting.
Yeah.
So I know you are pressed on time here
Mm.
pretty soon. I have one more thing that I want to ask. I don't know if Nicole wants to ask, but
Oh, I've let you
so
take the lead on this.
your main competitors are ClassIn, Zoom, maybe Zoom, because a lot of teachers still use it. Tencent.
Uh,
What are the other competitors you have? Fun Class.
Fun class. Yeah. Yeah. I think Zoom is still our number one competitor. If the
Okay.
definition of a competitor is the answer to what is the tool that
Teachers
most
use
of
it.
your
Yeah.
target customers use,
What are
it's
your
Zoom.
teachers using?
It's
Yeah.
probably still 70% Zoom, if we're
Yeah.
being honest. So yeah, Zoom. There's a lot. There's pencil spaces, lesson space, class in, fun class, and I'm sure there's Voov. And there's
That's a
other
very small, I think that's a much smaller part,
no?
that
probably.
is the
Yeah.
most irritating app. Right behind, right in line with. I have issues with Move and ClassIn. I'm not fans.
Yeah. Okay.
I'm just gonna put it
Yeah.
out there.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
what
Yeah.
what can you tell teachers about, you get like one sentence here. What is one sentence you would say to teachers that are using uh we'll just say Zoom to
Yeah.
give Koala Go a try? What's one thing
Yeah.
you would say to them?
I mean, just to go back to your previous point first, Jay, I think it's fantastic that there is competition, especially in the space of
Drives
teaching.
improvement.
Exactly. Especially in this space of, teaching young kids, which was really overlooked. And to be honest, like if you go before the pandemic, no investor was putting money in this.
Right.
No entrepreneurs or was working on,
Yes.
helping online teachers have a better tool. So
Mhm.
I think it's fantastic because at the end of the day, we're all fighting the same fight. We just want teachers to be successful and students to be successful. So you know like other tools like fun class that appeared recently, and I hear good things from you. I heard good things from Katie, from Abridge, about fun class as well, and I value her opinion a lot. It pushes us to get better.
Mhm.
It pushes us to offer a good pricing to the teachers. So I think the teachers win in situations like this. So I'm really excited, and you know like it pushes us to innovate more. So overall, I think it's great, although it may be a little bit uncomfortable sometimes. So I think it's very valuable. And then if I can say one sentence for the Zoom users out there, I would say that Zoom is built for adults, and if your kids are on the younger end, meaning less than 12 years old, and you feel like they could be more focused, they could be more engaged, they could be more excited about coming back to the class with you next week, give a shot to Koala. We have a free month where you have access to all the features, and we provide trainings every Tuesday. So give it a shot, try it with your students, and then see how they react.
Whoa. You said what? You have trainings every Tuesday?
Yep, every Tuesday. So we have we do a free training. Yes.
I
Is that
would
on
have
your
killed
Facebook
for
page
that.
or?
Really?
Yeah.
I can
That's a
share the link with
huge
you.
deal. Do you know how many
All right.
people find it they're so used to that one platform, they've managed it, and then going to the other, it's so mentally frustrating because you're spending so much time preparing your classes and everything. It's like, I don't have the mental space for this.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Very
Yeah.
nice. Well done. We did forget a couple things though. I
Oh,
also
go for it.
noticed.
I still have 10 minutes. You can
Okay.
go for it.
Well, it was just really quick. I just wanted to touch on it just really fast. Things that I think teachers would value as well as not only the training, by the way. Okay, you should have led with that. Is the payment plan. You accept payments. A lot of people struggle with accepting payments.
Do you mean to invoice parents?
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, right. Yeah, so we do have Koala has a invoicing system which will allow you. It allows you, teacher, to invoice a parent wherever you live in the world and wherever they live in the world.
So what basically you're saying is that those of us, I don't have a problem because I have Stripe, but a lot of teachers really struggle with getting payments from places like China, and then receiving payments in places like sometimes South Africa. I know I have a lot of teachers who have problems receiving payments in that area.
Yeah.
So
Yeah. So
if
if you
the
live in South,
teacher, I'm sorry, go ahead. Go ahead.
no. So, but you're totally right, Nicole. So if you live in South Africa, this is not a country that Stripe supports.
Nope.
And you need to send invoices to China, and in China you want parents to be able to pay via WeChat Pay or Alipay.
Alipay.
Right.
So
Union.
yeah, that's right. So if you use Koala, you will be able to go to the top right of Koala, click on Send Invoice, type the email address of the parent, say they live in China, and I want to charge them $100 for 2 June classes. Click on Send Invoice, and we'll take care of the rest. The parents will receive an invoice with a QR code that they can scan, so they can pay with WeChat Pay, and then we take a cut. We need to take a cut in order to survive and to make this to maintain this platform, and then you will receive your payment within 48 hours.
48 hours turnaround. That's pretty good, actually.
That's right.
So so I know on the free account it's 4.5%, and on the middle account, I think it's the pro account,
I
it's
think.
3.5%.
That's
Is
right.
there an additional Stripe fee, or that's everything? That's all.
No,
fees?
no, you're right. You're right. This is our fee. This is the Koala fee, and then we add on top of that the fees of Stripe.
Mhm.
And if you want to be paid with Wise or PayPal, we need to add the Wise fee or the PayPal fee. Yeah.
It's the price of doing business. When I do my taxes every year, I keep track of all those little fees I get from my payment portals.
Right. Exactly. Yeah. And so I want to be honest, like if Nicole, you live in the Philippines?
Yes, but my business is licensed in the US as an LLC, so I have a
Right. So if you
account.
live in a Stripe supported country, just type on Google Stripe supported countries and click on the first link, and it will give you a list of countries that are supported by Stripe. If your country is there, do not use Koala invoicing because it will be more expensive.
Right.
You can go to Stripe and create a Stripe standard account, and you can send your invoice directly to parents, and you should be able to enable WeChat Pay. but you will be able to pay only 2.9%, or maybe they increase it slightly, around 3% of fee by doing that.
And
But if you live in a
payment links.
country that's not Stripe supported, I think Koala is the best solution for you.
No, thank you. Thank you very much for answering that. Like I said, a lot of teachers find that very difficult to go around. So,
Yeah, it's complicated. It's very
it is.
complicated.
It really is.
Oh yeah, WeChat.
One more thing for online teachers to have to manage. So
Right.
yeah.
Right.
All I can say is I'm really happy that I'm able to do that. It's the only reason I can work there because, like I said, I can accept WeChat and Alipay, and it makes a significant difference. So it's very cool that you're able to do that. That's a big boon. All right, very good. So, Jay, do you have any more questions for Xavier
No,
today?
I'm good, and I'm really glad you came on here and you gave very good, straightforward answers that I appreciate.
I
Thank
have
you.
I have to say, yeah, I really appreciated that as well. I know we didn't talk about the business plan, but I don't think that'll be relevant at the moment. I would like to bring you back later when you've done some updates and include that because someone like me, I actually have a teaching company,
Okay.
and so that is of interest to me to add that to my website. Um,
Yeah.
So I think, but I feel like that's like a whole separate podcast.
Yeah, I agree. It's we can talk
The
about it.
Just real quickly, I want to make sure I understand the business plan membership.
Yeah.
Is that something that you can integrate in your own site so it looks like you're logging into Jay's English School instead of
That's
Koala
right.
Go? Okay,
Yeah, exactly. It's what we call a white label.
right.
So we
Oh yeah,
we
I have some
take
of those
Koala
licenses.
Go, and we can host it on jayswebsite.com.
Mhm.
We usually ask you to create a subdomain, so it would be virtualclass.jayswebsite.com.
Gotcha.
It will take you 5 minutes to do that, and then we'll forward your white label product to that page, and you can customize the lobby, put your logo in the top left, and that way your teachers log in, they don't even know that they're using Koala. And when your students access the classes of your teachers, they don't even know they're using Koala either.
And like I
That's
said, I'm
perfect.
interested in that one. So yeah,
Yeah,
I think that's pretty good.
pretty cool.
All
We can
right.
talk offline, Nicole, if you
All right. Yeah, I would definitely be interested. But I think honestly, I think that we have debunked our myth today that you can't effectively manage student behavior in a classroom. I think with the tools and a lot of the things that you've thought about that I didn't even think about, like
Right.
dyslexia. I mean, being able to, manage so many students and give them the opportunity to focus and to grow and to thrive, and for teachers to give their personality and their creativity and outlet to help those students at the same time in a relatively accessible platform. I got to give you hands down on that one. I think we've really debunked that one. And I can't thank you enough for taking the time to come in and to explain and share this process with us. So thank you very much today for coming in. I'm super excited. I've been playing around with it. I can't wait to go play some more.
Thank you so much for having me, guys.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.